Moon stared at his right hand. More specifically, the thin, yellow, glowing tube going from his fingertips over his arm into his chest. The robot was grunting and groaning as his red, glowing eyes stared at the daycare sink. He was deeply thinking, pondering. This deep feeling of emptiness in his chest came from this toy in the hands of Sun, this tool in the hands of himself. It was powerful, strong enough to destroy machinery, strong enough to enforce his will. Truly, no one would stand in his way if he could just figure this out. Angrily he hissed, his left taking hold of the faucet's crank, only to not be able to turn it. Moon whimpered like a kicked puppy, his hand shaking. The truth of the matter was that the moon half of the daycare attendant wasn't programmed to play with water. And therefore, even after watching through Sun's eyes how the faucet functioned, he just couldn't do it. The mental blocks in his programming were just too strong. How jealous he was of the happy robot. Playing with the brats during the day with this tool and using it like he would. He'd use it for discipline and manners. Everyone would respect him. Yes, respect. Only him. With this, he would become the ruler of the Pizzaplex. The robot's too scared to do anything. And his might. But he just couldn't do this. 3 weeks ago, during the first few days of summer, the Pizzaplex had created a special event that would run all summer. The Sunny Smiles event. A couple of inflatable toys such as bouncy castles and water slides had been erected in the Pizzaplex's front parking lot. Sure, this took away a third of the available parking, but that was worth it. The money was flowing into the Plex's coffers. The event, as the name suggested, was used to put the daycare attendant into the foreground. He had been on a very good behavior as of reason and deserved this as a reward. He was equipped with a new toy, a water gun. It was comparable to a mid-tier Nerf soaker, so it had a little spring in its step without hurting anyone or damaging machinery. During the event, Sun would participate in all kinds of water and water gun-related activities, which he absolutely adored. It was also the first time he was confronted with children over the age of 10, and quite frankly, he did a good job. But through all the entertainment, Moon felt left out. And worst of all, the amount of children he saw who were not following normal naptime protocols was making him go insane. So much so, that even in the bright sun, the daycare attendant could feel his other half stirring within him. But thankfully, he managed to subdue it quite skillfully. It was too bright anyways. As Moon was contemplating his next move, he stared at the faucet like a statue. The light in his eyes gone, leaving only black pinpricks. He wasn't shut off or misbehaving, but rather he was attempting to program himself to do this, but his access kept getting denied. As embarrassing as this was, he could not do this without the help of an employee. And there was but one human employee in the Pizzaplex at night. You, the night guard. You were snoring inside of Roxy Racewave security office right next to the 3D printer. You spent the scheduled blackouts taking naps inside the closest security office. You were very light sensitive, so you'd instantly wake up when the lamps were turned on again. Usually, slacking was something the day shift leader Brian did, but when there was nothing to do, you might as well take advantage of the situation. because Brian himself had told you a very important night guard secret. While yes, the cameras remained online during the blackouts, they actually didn't record. Meaning you as a night guard could do whatever you wanted during them. You hummed in your sleep. While yes, you were light sensitive, you definitely were a heavy sleeper. So you didn't hear Moon's mechanical footsteps as he barged into Roxy Racewave's security office. Since Moon was made inert by virtue of him being too frightening, the daycare officially had no real nap time, just so Sun would stay in the light to prevent him from wreaking havoc. But during the blackouts, he would be additional support for the night guard, since they made security quite difficult. Moon stood over you for a moment. You were having nap time. He was so proud of you. Oh, he should not wake you up. You were doing exactly what he wanted from you. His gaze returned to his right hand, and he sighed. No, his plan was more important. He needed to awaken you. Moon leaned forward and then grabbed your shoulders, violently shaking you awake. You grunted and then screamed in fear. Slap. Moon jumped back, whining. You just slapped the robot. Ow, 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 he complained. Your heart, though, was racing still. A single beat of cold sweat running down your forehead. Worst of all, you almost wet yourself. What the hell? You shouted angrily at the robot. You hit me, he cried. You scared me. You had been quite literally jump-scared by the animatronic. There was a joke to be made here, but you couldn't quite put your finger on it, and you knew it would bug you for the rest of the week. Yes, and I've a good reason for it too, he shouted, while still rubbing over the spot where you hit him. What? You barked. And without any resignation, he just held up his finger in your face with a small water hole in it. I require a filling of utmost importance. You deadpanned. Using your own hand, you pushed his arm away. And why would I do that? I require water. You narrowed your eyes. Why you leave me alone if I do it? The robot nodded feverishly, sighing, crossing your arms, thinking. And why do you want a full tank? I feel empty inside. Not to mention, it's a tool that I wish to use in my kit. It's an ability I'm supposed to have, after all. You sighed. And what will you do with it? The robot started giggling before going into an all-out evil laughter, spreading his arms like a villain who just finished his speech. You raised an eyebrow. Yeah, you're not really convincing me. I'm not filling up your tank. The robot fell to the ground with a loud and quite punishing-sounding rump. He was on his knees, hands clasped together. Oh, please, Miss Night Guard, I'm not programmed to use water faucets. I quite literally cannot turn them on even after seeing Sun do it so many times. So please, I just once want to use it. He started bumping your boots with his face while making kissing noises. Oh, please, 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 please. You took a step back. Fine. What damage could he cause with that terrible water gun he had anyway? Wasn't even strong enough to really penetrate the animatronic protective shells. Not to mention, most animatronics are already waterproof. Maybe you could damage staff bots. That would be hilarious. Or annoy Monty to the point that the gator would punch him. That would be even more hilarious. Though, maybe he could use his magic finger in a more fun way for you. Especially if you used warm water. You shook your head lightly to get the lewd ideas out of your head. The Happy Moon animatronic was now guiding you into the daycare, while walking on his tippy toes in sheer excitement. The robot's plans are most definitely more ambitious than what he was capable of. Not to mention, considering the robot, he most likely just played with the water than do anything actually harmful with it. Finally, he entered the daycare, and he beelined to the sink. Come. You rolled your eyes. Stepping next to him, you turned the faucet, but last minute turned it lukewarm. What now? He opened a new chest cavity he didn't previously have and pulled out a yellow glowing tube. This filthy thing, he chuckled, but he just stopped his hand a little bit away from the water stream. What? Not programmed to interact with faucets, remember? Could you please insert it into the stream? You scratched your neck before manually pulling his arm just a tiny bit forward and attaching the hose. Oh! He groaned, feeling the warm liquid fill his insides. He purred and convulsed a little. So this is how Sun could feel on a daily basis. That just made him hate his other side even more. You, meanwhile, blushed a little. God, he was acting so lewd. An entertaining show, to say the least. 4 minutes later, he ordered you to stop, probably thankful. So you unplugged him. It was then, the moment he closed his chest cavity, he pointed his water cannon at you. Now do as I say! You're serious, aren't you? You said with a deadpan expression. Yes, you will have nap time! You narrowed your eyes. I was having nap time before you woke me up. The robot's pride was hurt. Really hurt. He was about to have a fit, but then he realized, yes, he had his precious tool. And without warning, he suddenly started squirting water at your chest. The stream was warm as expected, and not too strong. You looked at the machine in shock, while he looked at his finger. Sun seemed to have much more power behind it. What's the secret, little finger? He looked up and jumped back. What? You growled angrily. He placed both hands on his eyes. Ah! You're not following dress code! You blinked confused, and then looked down at yourself. Face turning red, you covered your chest. You're supposed to wear something under your white shirt, Night Guard! Don't make this worse than it is. The robot turned around. It's not that bad, right? Am I that ugly? The robot's eyes widened and he turned around, feverishly placing his hands on your shoulders apologetically. No. That's not it. That's not what I mean. His eyes kept going downwards as he spoke. I apologize for making you feel terrible, Night Guard. And why did you react like that? He blinked. And as you realized, you gasped. Seductively, you now narrowed your eyes before sheepishly nudging him with your elbow. Didn't know you robots were programmed with liking this. It's too lewd, he whined. And you smirked. As he awkwardly tried to shuffle away, you purred. Wanna touch them? Thank you to the people who are supporting me on Ko-fi. You guys are keeping me alive.